Hey there, planners. Today we're going to be talking about setting goals for the year ahead. It's the end of the year. This is the time we begin to think about what do we want to accomplish next year? How have we done this year with our goals? What should we be focused on as we head into the year ahead? I'm going to give you some tips on today's podcast for how to go about approaching your goal setting for next year. So go grab your planners and let's get planning. So as we head into the end of the year and the beginning of next year, goal setting is a natural part of planning for many of us, where we're thinking about what we want to accomplish next year. And looking for the right goal setting process or planner or tools can be very overwhelming because there is so much out there and some of it is contradictory. Today, I want to talk about 16 basic steps that you can use to set your goals for the next year. And these are steps that are pretty consistently found across all goal setting methods. So they're very generic, they're simple, they're easy to follow, and it's a great way to get you started with how you set goals for the year ahead. Before I dive right in, I do want to say welcome to those of you who are new to Planning Annie. So glad you're here. Here on Planning Annie, we are a community of planner enthusiasts. We love our planners. We love our planner systems. We love being productive and getting things done. We also love our tools and creativity, our journals, all of the different mixed media, stationery, things like that. So if that sounds like something you would enjoy, we do hope you consider subscribing. Today's version of Planning Annie is the productivity podcast, meaning you are welcome to multitask. This is going to be more about the audio and less about the visual. So let's dive in to talking about how to set our goals. So setting personal goals on an annual basis is really a great way to focus on self-improvement, personal growth, career growth, professional growth, development, all of those things. There are so many versions of tools and planners and methods and strategies for how to set those goals. I personally have been very overwhelmed in the past as I think about it, but I have found that as I've used many of these tools and planners and strategies for goal setting, that there are consistent steps in each one that I can break down to a very generic level and say, these are the steps that you should take when you're goal setting. So I'm going to walk through these today. There are 16 of them, and we'll just hit them at a high level. Hopefully this is enough to help you get started as you think about goal setting. So the first and probably the most important step in goal setting is to reflect on the past. And that can be the past year, the past month, the past quarter, whatever the time frame is since the last time you thought about your performance and reflected on your performance. So you want to review the past year's goals, if you set any, or the past quarter's goals. You want to look at how did you perform in those goals, and you want to be as objective as possible. If there's a way for you to look at this numerically, what was the quality of your performance? If you achieved the goal, is it what you expected, the result, what you expected it to be? Consider your achievements. Also consider the challenges and areas where you feel like you fell short. Those are really important to think on, reflect on, and really look at how you can prevent that from happening in the future. You want to think about what you've learned and how you've grown, and you really want to take time to celebrate the things that you have achieved. You will find in the description of this video some prompting questions for you to use as a freebie for you, just some prompting questions for you to use to think about. I personally spend a lot of time, over a month at least, really walking through the reflection period of goal setting. I think this is very important, and this reflection step you will find in many goal planners and goal methodologies like Moxie Life or Cultivate What Matters. You'll find this step in most goal planning systems because it is so important. So the first step is to reflect on the past. The second step is to now begin to look currently and define what your priorities are. You want to identify what are the most important areas of your life And they can be in categories like career or health or your spiritual life, your relationships, personal development, hobbies, parenting, finances. They can be in all of these different categorized areas. And you want to evaluate where are you currently in those areas, what's working, what's not. And then, based on that evaluation, you want to determine which aspects need the most attention from you, which aspects need to be improved and that you should focus on in the coming year. So you're going to define your priorities across the categories of your life. The questions that I have down in the description box of this video are also going to help you do that as well. The next step is one that you've probably heard before if you've spent any time thinking about goals at all, and that is you want to set SMART goals. So SMART is an acronym. It stands for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound, SMART. You want to define your goals clearly, including what you want to achieve and how you're going to measure success and what the time frame to accomplish them is. So for example, when we talk about setting a specific goal, if getting in shape and losing weight is a goal for you, lose weight is not a specific goal. Lose 15 pounds is a specific goal. So that's an example of how to get specific. Measurable, when I say I want to lose 15 pounds, that is measurable. I can get on the scale and I can measure my results. Achievable, 15 pounds is a challenge, but it is something within the realm that I can achieve. If your goal is to lose 150 pounds, that might not be achievable. So you want to be, realistic in what is actually achievable for you. You want it to be relevant to your life. So losing 15 pounds is important for my overall health. So that is relevant to my life. And I want to lose 15 pounds in the next 12 months. So it's time bound. So that's how we get to specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. Now, I used lose 15 pounds as an example. That certainly is not applicable to everyone. And if you're going to set a health goal, it's always really important to get advice from your doctor. So I'll just throw that out there. But any goal that you're going to set, just think about how you can clearly define it. What is it that you're trying to achieve? Get specific and detailed as possible. How are you going to measure it? And what is the time frame that you're going to accomplish it? The next step, once you've set some SMART goals, just written out those SMART goal statements, you want to break those goals down into categories. So categorize your goals into different areas of your life, like professional health, personal development, social relationships, spiritual, financial. This really helps you maintain balance and ensure you're not neglecting any of those crucial areas that you prioritized originally. So if next year I have 5 health goals and no finance goals, but I have some debt that I need to deal with, I'm not really balancing my priorities. So really take a look at how your goals are categorized and make sure whatever you said were your priorities, the areas in your life that you needed to focus on, that you are putting goals in those areas. You also want to make sure you don't have too many goals. There's only so much time in a day, in a week, in a year. So you want to make sure that you are not overloading yourself with goals. The next step is to prioritize your goals. So even with a limited number of goals, there are going to be some that are more important than others. So, for example, if I had the goal to lose 15 pounds and I had the goal to learn to crochet next year, perhaps my health goal is more important and more impactful to the quality of my life than learning to crochet, which is a hobby and something that I really want to learn to do. So make sure you're ranking your goals in order of importance and focus on manageable number of high priority goals. If you've got a list of 30 goals, maybe the ones that aren't in the top 10, maybe they are put on a list for someday maybe. the next step you want to take is to create an action plan. For each goal, you want to outline the specific steps and actions required to achieve it. You're going to set milestones and you're going to set checkpoints to track your progress throughout the year. One of the ways that you can get started with this is just to ask yourself, what's the smallest step I can take right now to move toward this goal? So for example, if I have a goal to lose 15 pounds, the first step I can take is to cut out sugar from my diet. So I would look at what are some meals that I can make, what are some foods that I can put in my refrigerator and in my pantry that will eliminate sugar from my diet and help me achieve this goal. So you want to break it down to the smallest possible steps, and sometimes you won't know all the steps that you need to complete for the goal, but you can start creating that action plan by just asking yourself, what is the first steps that I need to take? All right, the next step you need to take is to allocate resources. So you want to identify what resources do I need to be successful in pursuing this goal. And resources can be things like your time, money, support from friends and family. Consider all of these things when you're thinking about how you're going to pursue that goal and what help and support that you're going to need. Determine how you're going to get those resources and how you're going to allocate them. So for example, I'm sticking with my losing 15 pounds as a goal. I know that I'm going to need to exercise as part of achieving that goal, which means I need to look at my daily routine and figure out where can I fit in 45 minutes of exercise at least 6 days a week. So I'm going to have to allocate time, which is one of my resources, to that. Maybe I need to have some home equipment like some weights, or a water bottle, or a fitness watch. I need to look at the expense there and develop a plan for how I'm going to achieve that. So all of that is going to be part of your action plan. Once you identify what are those resources you're going to need, you're going to include that in as part of your action plan. Similar to this, you want to look at time management. So you want to consider how much time each goal is going to require and how it fits into your schedule. You have to be realistic about this, because if you are overloading yourself with goals and not being realistic about the time you need to dedicate to each one, you're really setting yourself up for failure. And that can be one of the reasons why we fall off on our goals very quickly in the new year. So really be realistic and think about the time you're going to need. How are you going to work on this goal each day, each week, each month, and each quarter? So really think about the time you're going to need. And maybe the goal's too big. When you think about time management, you might realize the goal is too big and you need to get more specific and more narrow with that goal. The next step is to make sure you're staying accountable. So one of the best ways I have found to do this is to share your goal with a friend or a family member, a mentor, someone who can help you stay accountable. So going back to my example, if I have a goal to lose 15 pounds this year, I might tell my husband and see if he could help me, encourage me to exercise or even join me in exercise. Maybe I have a friend or a neighbor that I could start to exercise with, joining a gym and getting a personal trainer. All of these are options to have somebody to help me stay accountable. Joining a group or a community of people who have a similar goal is a really great way to have added support, and a lot of that you can do online or in person. So really look for, once you've established that goal and defined it clearly, look for opportunities to join a group or community. The next step is to monitor and adjust. So as we get into actually executing the goal, you're going to need to regularly review your progress. And I like to do this on a weekly basis, just in a miniature form, but I also like to do this on a monthly and quarterly basis. And you have to be willing to adapt and make changes to your goals and action plan as necessary when you start to monitor, because maybe you're not able to dedicate as much time or as many resources to it, and you need to adjust the goal. So that's why it's so important to regularly review. This needs to be built into your routines and systems. So maybe a daily or weekly or monthly reflection period needs to be scheduled on your calendar so that you are really looking at how you're progressing towards your goals. All right, the next step you can take is to use tools and resources. So consider using tools like a planner or a goal setting app or a vision board to keep your goals in front of you and to keep your progress in front of you as well. Looking at like self-help books or podcasts or online resources that align with the topic of your goal can also help you. If I'm focused on weight loss, then maybe I want to look for podcasts or books or online resources that will help me learn more about how to do that, reading material, things like that. So look for what resources and tools are going to help you be accountable and keep you focused on that goal. Along with that, another step you can take is to seek knowledge and skills. So when you're looking at your goal, is there an area where you need to have knowledge that you don't have today or develop skills that you need to achieve your goal? If so, make sure that you are planning how you're going to acquire them. Whether that's through courses or workshops or self-study or a mentor, make sure you're including that in your goal. That's actually going to need to be at the front part of achieving your goal. So if, for example, one of my goals is to learn to crochet and I don't know how to crochet, my first step is going to be to take a course or sit down with a family member or someone who can teach me, making sure I have time dedicated to learning that before I begin to practice and get better at it. Okay, the next step that you can take in goal setting process is really important, and that is to practice self-care. So make sure that as you're pursuing your goals, you are not getting burnout or neglecting your well-being. Make sure you're incorporating those self-care practices into your routine and you're maintaining your physical and mental health, because let's say I have a goal to achieve a certification or a degree this year. That can be a really heavy workload. Make sure that you're taking care of yourself as you do that. It will do no good for you to get to the end of the year, accomplish the goal, but be a complete wreck otherwise. So make sure as you're doing those points of reflection, either daily or weekly or monthly, that you're also evaluating your holistic health and wellness as part of that goal. Really important step in the goal setting and goal achieving process is to celebrate your achievements. So when you reach a milestone or accomplish a goal, take the time to celebrate that. That positive reinforcement is really going to help you stay motivated. It's going to build your confidence. It's going to want to make you achieve higher goals. So what I like to do is set some milestones for mini victories along the way to achieving the ultimate goal. If my goal is to lose 15 pounds, then when I hit the 5-pound mark, I'm going to have a celebration of some sort. And so just setting those little miniature milestones and really celebrating the achievements along the way. The next step is to make sure you stay flexible and adaptive. Life is unpredictable. I think after the last 5 years, we all know that, how unpredictable life can be. So just be open to adjusting your goals and your plans as circumstances change. Things can change radically, very quickly, and you may have a whole new set of goals. Use your reflection, your monitoring periods in the week or the month or the quarter to really adapt as you need to. Adaptation is a very valuable skill, especially when you're working on longer term goals that are year or longer out. So definitely stay flexible and adaptable, and that's going to help with your overall wellness as well. All right, the last step is a little bit of a repeat, but I think it deserves a repeat, and that is to make sure that you are reviewing and reflecting regularly. So we started out the process with a review of the previous year or period. You just need to make sure that's built in all along the way. Schedule those check-ins with yourself with your accountability partners, assess your progress, make adjustments as needed, and really use those moments to reflect on what's working and what isn't and make adjustments. Setting goals, whether they're personally or quarterly, however the time frame is, it's a very dynamic process, and it's okay to revise as you go. You're going to gain new insights with time and working on it, and your priorities might evolve through the year. So stay committed, but also stay flexible. Stay motivated by checking in with yourself and celebrating those milestones along the way. Stay focused on your growth and improvement through regular reflection. I hope this video gives you some very basic starting points to get started with your goal setting. I would love to hear your ideas down in the comments below. What are some of the simple steps that you use to get started with goal planning, and do you have goals already in mind for next year? If so, let me know what they are down in the comments below. If you enjoyed this podcast, give me a thumbs up. Subscribe to Planet Annie for more content like this, and as always, thanks for planning with me.